Welcome back to Fables from the Pickled Quipper. I am your host and Master of Dungeons, Phil, and today we pick up with the Hand of Aegis actually separated for a change. We begin with the odd couple of Bardor and Eska. Let's pick up with what happens next.
Session 35, here we go. We last left off. Voyage welcomes the group, the Hand of Aegis, into sort of cacophonous town, settlement, whatever we're calling it, city, that is Badgerdown. The girls go off and kind of clean up, the guys go off, clean up. There's a little bit of discussion with Voyage about fiends, and then the group meet with Heswin, one of the members of the Conclave. And Heswin is the chief artificer, thanks the Hand of Aegis, for their efforts, and says that they'll figure out some sort of compensation for their efforts. They head back inside. Voyage sort of leads the group back towards the embassy, and points out the tavern there, the guest house tavern. The only two who decide they want to go to the bar are Bardor and Eska. So yes, we pick up with Cassette, Claire, and Silverius turning in early, diving into the luxurious beds, and Bardor and Eska being hosted by Llewellyn and many other, mostly gnomes, in the guest house tavern. And that is where we will resume. Inside the tavern, there is, at one end, there is a gnome playing some sort of, it's a musical instrument, but it's not one that you've ever seen before. It seems to possibly be several musical instruments merged together, and via an elaborate variety of buttons, levers, and interesting body movements, they're able to play several of these different things at once. It's not quite a one-man band setup, but it's similar. They're sort of on stage. So as you come in, yes, there's it's quite a big crowd, and it seems like there's a lot of enthusiasm for the arrival of the people who were able to deal with this orcish threat. And so, Bador Esker, you have your double whiskeys in front of you, and Llewellyn says, "So tell us about the battle with the orcs, please." And you can see that there's like half a dozen gnomes who have sort of gathered around, a variety of rock and deep gnomes. One you would guess is a forest gnome based on sort of complexion and hair. Looks a little out of place among the sort of earthier gnomes. And they just sort of look at you expectantly.
So I grab my glass, and I just start sipping it, and I just look at Aska over the top, like, this is all yours.
I do the same to Bardor.
The crowd sort of lean in a bit.
What would you all like to know?
Well, what happened? How did the fight go?
Well, it was, honestly, it was pretty touch and go. There was a whole, phalanx is not really the word, but let's use that, of orc archers who were firing down upon us. And, thankfully, our two fighter friends ran in and, took care of them up close whilst we fired from afar. There was definitely some scary orcs in there. Their leaders were quite fearsome, but thankfully the tide turned and we bested them.
And you see sort of appreciation on their faces, and one of the gnomes sort of looks at Bardor and says, "So you didn't, you don't go in and hack and slash?"
Kind of lower it and say, got close a couple times. There was one that got in my face.
And they look a little disappointed. And then you hear sort of from behind the little crowd you have there. You hear a deeper voice. In my day, it was expected to fight toe to toe with the enemy. And the gnome sort of part, and you see a slightly old-looking dwarf with a huge beard that's sort of like overflowing on the table in front of him. And he's sort of leaning back on his chair, feet propped up on the table as well, which really indicates just how long this beard is, that both his feet and beard can occupy the table at the same time. Just sort of locks eyes with Bardur and says, "You don't like to fight hand to hand?"
If I need to, I will.
Curious. It's not dwarf. And he just sort of stands up, and you see that he's a little shorter than you. And his long, sort of, I guess you would say salt and pepper beard. You would guess he's probably got a good 100 years on you. I'm just giving this. Fight however you need to fight. And he puts out a hand and says, I'm Orsic. Welcome to Badgerdown.
I'll give him a wry grin and shake his hand. I say, well met, Bardur.
Bardur. Nope, doesn't mean anything. Listen, the whiskey's a bit weak. Might I suggest something special? I brought it with me when I moved here. And he pulls over to the barman and says, Urki, give me 2 of those bottles I brought. The barman just sort of gives him a knowing nod and disappears. You see there's like steps leading to a cellar underneath the bar. And he comes back with 2 nicely cooled bottles. They say Honey Hill Brewery on them. They're like a little dewy from being cooled somehow in the cellar. Orsic just sort of picks it up and like rips the cap off with his teeth and just says, "Your good health," and toasts, and then starts quaffing quite quickly, and sort of encourages you to do likewise.
So, like, did he give me one?
Yes. One of those was definitely intended for you.
Okay,
Eska,
so-
you notice one was not requested for you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would have killed that whiskey, and then I would have taken that up, and I would have like cheers him. So
Yep.
so.
Would I notice the honey hill?
Both make perception checks.
15.
Okay.
14, because I think I'm still sleepy.
Oh, man, you are. I'll have to be forever.
I've got it. I'm glad I had it set on disadvantage because I would have forgotten about that otherwise.
Yeah. So, Eska, you note the name. How well do you remember Claire's name? I'm not sure. You probably
me
did.
neither. I feel like probably by now. Does she?
Yeah, I think you probably would.
Claire, do you normally pronounce yourself as Claire Honeyhill or as Claire? I mean, we all know Silverius likes to throw as many names out there as he can, but
I want to say I think she does usually use her last name.
okay. I would probably.
I think it would have at least come up.
I would definitely not though. Then
You,
even though it's a 14.
well, your perception was not to look at the name; it was to decide how well you were detecting the notes in the beer. So, yeah, it's nice. It's tasty.
Damn
And
right it is.
It
I'll be like, this is the worst thing I've ever had in my life.
it doesn't really taste like anything you're used to having sort of in the Delsma area. It kind of reminds you of like a nice meadow, like it's light and refreshing, but still has a decent kick to it. It's light in terms of it's a nice light flavor, but it is heavy in terms of alcohol content. This is a pretty potent. This is proper dwarf beer. Eska, you would probably not have liked it had you have been offered some, but you were not, so you'll never know.
As Bardur goes to take another sip, I put a hand to his forearm. May I?
Sure.
Like the forearm of the drinking hand.
Yes.
Yeah, as I'm like,
Yeah.
if you think you can handle it.
Oh, I think I can handle it. She just has a little sip. She doesn't down it.
That's really
Just goes, and hands it back. You should keep that bottle, Badger.
Why's that?
Maybe an interesting conversation later.
Okay.
You know what? You look like you're not going to remember much. When you're done, hand me the bottle.
that sounds better.
How much of your whiskey have you drunk so far, Eska?
Not much. I've
Okay.
been sort of putting it up to my mouth and tipping it back and then tipping it forwards again and putting it down. It's
So the
not,
level hasn't really changed that much.
not a whole lot.
It's okay. Thankfully, everyone else was already in their cups before you got there, so no one's really paying too much attention to
In
the
a
drink.
little bit of in a spare moment, I would reach over to the barman and see if it has anything more in the winey variety.
Yeah. So Erky comes over. You want something else?
You have anything red? I'm more of a wine girl myself.
I am relieved. I thought you meant maybe blood for a second. Okay. Yeah. No, we have wine. Some of the other elves like it. One moment.
Thank you.
And they disappear back into the cellar and kind of hear little footsteps coming back up, and there's a bottle, just an unlabeled bottle of dark red wine in a green bottle. And they just sort of pull the cork out and give you a glass.
Oh, that's right. I don't have to pay, do I? That's a relief.
No, they just sort of say, yeah, don't worry. Someone's paying for this, but it's not you. And they just sort of look at the crowd, and there's sort of a bit of grumbling and fishing in pockets. But yeah, you don't have to pay.
Thank you, my friend.
Biff,
And I look round to the other people and nod.
someone gives you a friendly nudge next to you, and there's general sort of like raising of glasses in your direction. You just sort of, as you look around, you do see sort of outside of the cluster that you have here, the bar is pretty full. You would guess maybe as many as 50 people. I mean, it's pretty crowded. So you've got quite a few sort of near the bar where you're at. And then, like in different corners, there's different groups. There's like one group that are clustered sort of on the far sort of back right corner that look like maybe they're playing some sort of game. There's a group who have sort of gathered to sort of actively watch the musical guest. There's a couple of people who are just sort of sitting in there drinking alone. And again, I mean, just looking around, you can see it's very much vast majority of the people here are gnomes, but there are a couple of non-gnomes there too.
I'm gonna talk to Orsic. Is he sitting down with us?
He'd come over. He after sort of meeting you and getting the bottle, he returns back to his table. But there's empty chairs if you want to take one of those.
Not right now.
Okay. So after he sort of returns to his chair, one of the gnomes says, "So, how many were there? Did you say? I don't know this word. Phalanx."
No, me neither,
Is it-
really. It's probably... how many were there, Badr? 10?
10, 15, something like that. I don't really remember.
It was very dark, and all happened very fast.
But you can see in the dark, right? Like us?
Oh yes, for sure. But it's a big area. Even my elven eyes struggle at a certain distance.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yes, if I'm being totally honest, I'm more used to to the forest land than underground. It's I'm still getting my bearings.
You do look a little oh, what is the word my daughter used? Creeped out.
That's very very good description. Yes.
Yeah. Well, good news. It's only 2.5 days to the surface from here.
Eska visibly shudders.
Did I say something wrong?
No, no. I'm just looking forward to it. Much as I find your town fascinating.
Have you got used to the noise yet?
No, not at all.
It comes.
I imagine it's a good system.
Yeah, it works for us. There were a lot of headaches back in the day. My grandfather told me. Very, very bad. Now everyone is coordinated. It's much, much better.
I'm hoping this takes the edge off.
What are you drinking?
Oh, some kind of wine.
Oh, okay. That's good. It's probably not grape wine, though. You know that, right? Can't grow grapes down here.
That's fair. Do you enjoy whiskey?
No, it's a little strong for me.
Yeah, me too.
My cousin likes whiskey.
Is your cousin
He
here?
drinks it all the time. No.
Okay.
At that point, I'll just like kind of lean over and sort of like go to grab the whiskey and be like, maybe if you didn't even.
I push it in Bardo's direction.
Yeah.
And I will like pull out my little container, my flask, and I will just like. There we go.
Nobody tries to stop you, funnily enough. Everyone's quite content with you just taking the whiskey, and it's already been bought and paid for, so someone's got to drink it. So, yeah, you spend a little bit longer just sitting. Eventually, the gnome that you were speaking to, Eska, finally remembers to introduce herself as Tippletoe Rofferton, 40 or so years. Despite her grandfather was here, before that. She moved more recently to join some of the other family members, and she lets you know she's one of the ranchers for the town, which kind of
I inquire
catches you
what
off guard
they're
a little bit.
ranching.
Oh, it's the Rothe. It's like a cow,
I
like
see.
an underground cow.
Well,
Best way to think.
Now you say underground cow, it makes me wonder if you could grow underground grapes.
Well, you don't grow cows.
Yeah, that's fair.
They are creatures of the Underdark. It is their normal. They know how to exist here. They can see in the dark like us. They know how to forage for food. We have extensive paddocks and areas to the south of the city. It's quite easy work, to be honest, because they don't go very fast most of the time.
Do they produce milk?
Yeah, some milk. And of course the wool is exceptionally good. It's very warm because it can get quite cold down in the Underdark, So it's useful to have the wool. I think pretty much everyone's bedding is made of Rothe wool here now. No need to import anything, we just shave them every few months, and we have enough to go around. And then she sort of points over at Bador and says, in fact, his tunic, that's more of the Rothe wool. It's just a softer, it's work to make it soft.
Oh, it looks like a lovely material.
Yeah, it's good. You can, tomorrow go to the market. You can probably find some clothes if you like it so much.
I'll certainly have a look around.
So, Bador, what's your sort of short-term plan as you're in there drinking? Are you like trying to talk to people, or are you just happy drinking?
I mean, pretty happy, and that's why I was really thinking about talking to Orsic, but like, because he's a dwarf, but nah, just drinking.
Okay.
Is there any die down in the people approaching us? And
Yeah,
asking us
it does
questions?
kind of. It does ease up a little bit. Once the sort of the initial hubbub has happened, as the sort of the conquering heroes arrive, albeit just the two of you. Yeah, it quiets down.
I'll tell Leska and be like, well, glad that's kind of over with.
Yes, I
Wasn't
was
really expecting that.
really hoping for a nice quiet chance to relax.
Yeah,
Get this pounding out of my head.
yeah, it's a bit annoying.
Now you are my dwarf knowledge is not the best. I must admit. Now there are hill dwarfs, right? And then there are are you
Other dwarves.
there are other
They're
dwarfs.
mountain dwarves.
Mountain
Yeah,
dwarfs.
There's also mountain dwarves.
Which are you?
I am hill.
You are hill. Okay. And do hill dwarfs generally sort of prefer the underground?
Yeah, we do. I guess it's a bit of a misleading name. I spend a lot of my time underground. We do have cities that are above ground as well, but like they still have their underground elements.
So
But yeah,
the delving into dark places such as this that you seem so kind of natural with, that's something of a inbuilt, virtue.
yeah, all of us have it. All of the dwarves have that.
Okay. Yeah, I've rarely been much inside much beyond just walking inside a cave, so this is really all new to me.
It's understandable. What we went through being in the Underdark, that's another thing. It's as much as I've been, and he doesn't get comfortable no matter how much it's not. I mean, it is natural, but it's unsettling.
Hmm.
Folks who live out in that environment, well touched, I think.
Yeah. You seem to have your head on your shoulders though. I can never get it straight. You're not a Delzima native, right? You just have been there for a period of time working?
Yeah, that's correct.
So where do you hail from originally?
From the kingdom of the Rift, from from that area.
It's strange how we all ended up converging, all from different places.
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably the one that's probably not the farthest from. I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think, I guess Silverius may be the furthest from home.
Yeah, you just kind of like. Okay.
Hmm. Do you have any more raucous plans for the evening, or...?
This was about as raucous as I wanted to get, to be honest.
That's good.
Didn't necessarily need to become popular, which to a certain extent I guess we have become, which I guess it makes sense considering what we've done, but it was not my intention.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are really, seeking fame. I feel like we're in this for other reasons, so, I guess, I'm really feeling, I think the pounding, the claustrophobia in here, I might take this bottle and see if I can sneak out.
Seem like I don't necessarily know if you need to sneak it out. I'll actually hand her the empty bottle of the Honey Hill.
Oh yeah, thank
You
you.
said you wanted that or whatever.
Yes. I think I just thought it might be something, Claire might find it interesting.
Why is that?
Well, let me check with her first, and then I'll get back to you.
Okay. I mean, I know she likes. She seems to have some brewery background, so.
Oh, she does, huh?
Yeah. Well,
I wonder what it was
I'm
called.
not. I'm not gonna miss that. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
The crowd have sort of mostly subsided back to their little groups. So yeah, you feel like you could make an exit now and get back to the embassy without too much harassment, most likely.
Are you coming by, or are you gonna hang around for a little bit longer?
I think I've had my fill. I will. But I'll get up and I'll like walk over to Orsic and thank him.
You're welcome. Are you here for a while?
No.
It's just a little peep over the shoulder. No.
Yeah. And he just sort of raises an eyebrow and looks back to you.
I'm actually not really sure at this point in time. We've conducted what business we wanted to do in clearing out those orcs, but we might be here another day or two yet before we head back on out. So.
Well, if you wish to talk about dwarven things, it is hard sometimes here, away from, dwarves. So,
Yeah. Are you the only one?
yeah, there's a couple of others, but they're stuck up. I don't really care for them.
Where are you from?
It's a small town, Ashabenford, near the Cormanthor Forest.
No, I know of that place.
Make a history check, I guess. Let's find out.
Why did you ask, James? Why did you ask?
I don't know why I ask things. I mean, especially now since I have disadvantage. Gracious. 2. I got nothing.
Ashabenford, you don't recognize. Everyone knows at least something about the Cormanthor Forest. It's a pretty sizable forest off the Sea of Fallen Stars.
Okay.
There's some notable towns near there, and it's one of those areas that there's always trouble.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like the city of Flan is near there. Molemaster, Elmwood, like a lot of places that have been the center of various different commotions. Cormanthor itself is known to be quite fey rich, as forests go, and so a lot of people don't like going in there. But there are paths that are sort of mostly safe that, sort of major roads that you still kind of have to take to get over to that area on the Moonsea, that go through Cormanthor. But people try to avoid it unless it's necessary.
Gotcha. So, like, I kind of know the general-ish.
Yeah, you know the general area-ish.
Gotcha.
Like I said, I think that, while not as big or as famous as Waterdeep and places like that, it's still well known enough that it pops up
Okay.
in song and tall tales.
I'll say, well, yeah, don't know the exact spot, but the general Earthheart. I'll say Earthheart here. That's where I'm from.
Oh, right. Yes, I think I may have passed through once or twice since I came down this far. I'm a long way from home, obviously, but yeah, I think I know of Earthheart. I didn't catch your family name.
Uh, it's a long story.
Fair enough. Well, if it means anything to you, I am a big toe.
A big toe.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of big toes around Cormanthor. Yeah. So, you know, if you say you know Orsic Big Toe, it depends which town you're in. Actually, may or may not go well for you. I'll let you decide if you toss that coin or not.
Okay. Well, I think I need to call it a night. It's been a long one. Well met, Orsic.
And also you, Badur. And he just sort of leaves a little pause after your name and says, I will perhaps catch you again tomorrow.
Perhaps.
Goes
Oh,
back to a
turn
tankard that's in front of him. Eska, he just sort of gives you like a vague half nod.
I give him a vague half nod.
I suspected as much. And yeah, you are able to leave relatively unharassed, as expected. And you can head back out. The sound of the smacking is louder out here. You know, the constant chatter and music in the guest house helps, but you can hear again the constant rhythmic thudding. At least you can hear the music as well, which makes it a little bit more palatable as you head back over to the embassy.
That
Oh,
was enjoyable, wasn't it?
it turned out better than I thought it was going to when we first walked in.
Well, good night, Bardo Long Story. I will see you in the morning.
I will kind of give Eska a bit of a side eye and not smile at all. And I'll just kind of grunt good night.
As you head back up to your rooms, Bador, you go through the door and you see this faintly glowing pseudo dragon perched at the edge of the bed, just staring at you as soon as you walk in. I think it's safe to say you weren't expecting to see a vaguely glowing pseudo dragon, so it kind of shocks you a little bit. Silvarius, roll a percentile for me.
63.
You see the sort of the lump in the bed that signifies Silvarius's presence. Does not appear to be snoring currently. Kedox just stares at you unblinkingly and just watches everything you're doing right now.
Sort of like tiptoe very cautiously and slightly freaked out because he's staring at me so hard.
As you sort of head towards your bed, he just watches you. You kind of climb into bed, and it is warm and cozy in there, very soft. Kedox slowly watches you for like another 10 seconds to see if you're going to move once you've got in the bed. Once he's satisfied that you've sort of taken up a mostly still position, he just sort of slowly turns his head back towards the door. And between him and the bioluminescing fungus, there's a sort of a certain night light feel going on in there, so at least you don't have to worry about tripping over anything. So I would say, well, you tell me, how long do you think you were there, give or take? How many
At that
drinks did you
bar?
get through? Yeah.
Probably, honestly, just the two.
Okay. So it's probably maybe 10:30 at night. Eska, as you go in, you see Cassette and Claire in their beds. Cassette, Claire, do you think you guys would still be awake at this point? I know you were having a little chat earlier.
I would say if she's not asleep, she's at least close to being asleep.
Yeah, we would probably say after today, because that would probably be sleep pretty quick.
I shake them vigorously to check if they're asleep.
Make a stealth check as you go in.
Eska walks in and she's like, Claire, Cosette, are you awake? Hey, are you awake?
It's the worst.
Like, what? Oh, gosh.
14.
Yeah, you think you get in without making too much noise. Actually, to that point, let me get percentile from Cassette as well, please.
28.
Okay. Yeah, you're pretty sure Cassette's out. You hear some gentle snoring.
So, did you just have them roll for snoring?
Oh, absolutely, I did.
Okay.
Just to recap, what did we just roll? A snore?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait a minute. I think I see what's happening here.
It was a REM check.
Yeah, right.
Eska just kind of probably finishes what's left in the bottle.
Unless anyone has anything they wish to do, we can move through to the next morning.
Day 16.
The 23rd of Marpaneth.
Now, do we wake up feeling any different?
You know, it's funny you should say that. You do wake up feeling a little different. Yeah. You feel like you've been through some tough experiences and you've proven yourselves and you feel ready to sort of put that experience to good use.
Nice.
Or yeah, to put it another way, you level up.
Bow, 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 bow.
Am I doing that right now?
Yes, you can. You can do that right now.
Holy.
So we can do some hit dice when people are ready.
So I'm going into a different class now.
You do gain a new skill as well as part of this.
Who's that?
You do.
Oh.
For multi-classing.
Liz.
Anyone else do anything crazy, or you're just all staying where you're at?
I'm staying where
Nothing
I'm at.
crazy for me.
Nothing crazy for me either.
I'm more crazy than I already am.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Roll some dice. Let's see where you're at.
Yay!
Very nice, Claire.
Oh.
It was meant to be.
Yep.
Right.
What's that? 12 for Claire?
11. I get a +2 for the con and then a +1 for
Oh,
being
right. I was adding
dwarf.
for some reason I was doubling up on the dwarf.
HP.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
I'm
great.
at 53 hit points now.
Whew. One more. There it is. Oof.
Hey. Nice.
Oh, you're happy with a 3?
Oh, that was with my +2. Okay.
That included your +2. Yeah, same
Well, I
as
mean-
cassette.
It's average.
Yeah, I guess so.
I only have a D6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
just kept my 8.
Yeah, cassette is.
This is a
average
5.
as well.
Have that healing ready, everybody, because I'm going to be folding around
Dropping like it's
as
hot.
per usual.
So yeah, there you are. You are now much more potent, and I have to start designing far more difficult encounters for you.
Nope.
Is anybody else under 40 still? To make me feel better?
Under 40?
Just
Under 40.
Yeah. I'm guessing no.
under 40?
I'm nearly there.
Just take the tough feat when you can. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I know, but it's sad to use a feat just to make yourself, you know. I mean, it's a cool feat, but it's kind of like I like it better for people that are already kind of tough to like really be tanks. It's sad to make yourself normal.
Took the leveling up to be normal.
Yeah.
It's called tough, not frail.
It would be like taking Polearm Master, except, you know, you can't use a polearm yet, so you just become polearm adequate. I mean, it's like, it's just sad.
Competent.
Yeah, polearm competent. I'll have to think
Yeah.
about it. I mean, there's
Be our
2
next
levels till then.
campaign.
I may well be dead.
Me being me, it's always a chance.
Yeah. Surprise dragons are around every corner, apparently. Some of them very friendly, some of them trying to instantly kill you. It's a very mixed bag.
I mean, in my defense, the clue's in the name.
Oh, of the game?
Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that's true.
You've had some dungeons. You've had some dragons.
Some dragons.
Now,
I mean,
Phil,
I'm delivering what's expected.
I mean, that's fair.
Sounds
that's
like
fair.
we're done here. We could do it. We could make like a little like side episodes with our like worst Australian outback accents, like we're observing the native wildlife from the bushes
Mm-hmm.
to really flesh out and detail the creatures in kind of a documentary style sense.
Crikey.
There's a ridgeback rothe, a real beaut.
Next campaign, we can just all be, ornithologists.
I think there's a market for that. I've already played one, in fairness.
And all of this.
We certainly had the DM for it.
You wake up the next morning, warm, well rested. Bardur, you feel particularly well rested after some good beverages and finally a good night's sleep. You consider yourself no longer exhausted, and
Yay.
there's a gentle knock on the door that sort of rouses you from sleep, and one of the Svrfneblins. Ooh, Svrfneblins. We're gonna go with Svrfneblin. Comes in. So yes, one of the Svrfneblin comes into each of the rooms and just sort of says, good morning. Breakfast will be served in 15 minutes." And just gives a little sort of quarter bow and leaves.
Stop the one before he leaves our room.
Yes.
My vestments, are they ready?
Oh, right. One moment, please. They head down and sort of disappear, and come back a couple of minutes later with yes, your clothes all in good shape. You do see fresh dresses and tunics and stuff are made available if you so want, or you can go back to your traditional garb.
Whilst we're getting ready, Eska will say, Claire? I saw something that just made me think of you last night, and she holds out the bottle.
Claire just kind of, she's got a quizzical look on her face, but she'll take the bottle and look at it. Does the label look familiar?
Oh yeah, sure does.
Her eyes go slightly wide, and she just kind of looks at Eska and then back at the bottle. Where did you get this?
That's a very good question. There was an older... That's probably not fair. I can't tell with dwarfs, I'm sorry. There was a dwarf fellow down at the bar last night, and he pulled them out to share with Bardur and said they were one of his favorites. So I have no idea, but the name just struck me.
Her eyes look kind of misty, and her bottom lip definitely looks like it's wibbling a little bit. This is This is my family's brewery.
So, so you are, this... I see. Have, how long has it been since you've, been back there?
It's been almost 5 years.
Well, that's longer than I thought you were going to say. That's a long time.
It was because of my schooling. All the girls in my family, we get a choice. We either stay and we marry and we help run a brewery, or we get to go to school and learn to become clerics. It's just kind of a family tradition, and I decided to leave.
On good terms, though?
Mostly.
Okay. Well, why don't you hold on to it as a, you know, just as a little keepsake, a little reminder of home.
She kind of just like briefly hugs the bottle to her chest and then goes and tucks it carefully into her bag.
If it's any
Yeah.
consolation, Bardo seemed to really like it.
I would hope so. It's the best beer in all of the Dalelands.
I mean, I had a little taste just because I was curious. I'm not much of a, you know, beer drinker, but yeah, I could appreciate it. Of the beers I've drunk, it was certainly, you know, up there.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yes, yes. No, it had a good flavor. I'm just, you know, I'm more of a wine. I don't know what to end that with, but you know, I'm more of a whiner. I suppose I should get dressed, really. I get dressed.
Good work.
Is there that long though? Because that was kind of strange.
I
Say,
now
the way
here's
she said that, I now imagine that Eska was just standing there nude.
I mean, it was a rough evening of drinking. Who knows what state?
The Swift Netherlands come back and sort of encourage you back downstairs, and so the sort of the left hand area is where Void seems to disappear to. You're led off to the right hand, well, right as you come in through the door, left as you come downstairs, and you're taken to a large. It's entirely possible, by the way, that I've muddled that up, and you would have eaten to the left last night, but I don't remember, so we're saying right. And you're taken into a nice large dining room, stone furniture as you saw before, and if I recall correctly, there's a large painting of gnomes sort of up on one wall, and Voyage is there waiting for you and says, "Ah, good. I'm glad to see you have woken. I trust you feel well rested, everybody."
Claire nods enthusiastically. She definitely seems a little brighter compared to yesterday.
Yeah. The accommodations were satisfactory.
Splendid. Do when you leave, do remember to take all of your stuff with you, since if you're going to be staying on beyond today, we will have you go over to the guest house. Just more traditional, and in front of you there's a nice selection of was a bit of an assortment. There's some sliced meats, some slightly interesting looking bread, a little bit of veiny cheese. You don't see any grapes. Um, you also see some sort of like look like maybe some fried mushrooms there. I'm not sure what you actually had planned today, but you'll probably want your strength either way. If nothing else, we need to get you over to see the Conclave. I think that would be good. And then from there, it's really up to you. If you have nothing pressing, then by all means stay and enjoy what Badgerdown has to offer. But we won't be offended if you leave. I'm sure you have other matters to attend to as well.
So Varus reaches over and grabs like a large portion of the meats and some of the interesting bread and.
We are probably going to stay only as much as necessary. The Conclave, perhaps a brief moment in the market, and then
And he kind of looks around at anybody for objections.
we be on our way out of here.
Can send word to make sure that the Conclave are ready for you. If we go straight after we eat, I would imagine will be the first order of business for them today. They usually take their meetings in the morning anyway, so that they can work the rest of the day. This is a very industrious city. It's not an awful lot of time for relaxation, save for a drink at the guest house, of course.
Bardur, Eska, how did your evening transpire?
Somewhat uneventfully, I would say. Is that fair, Bardo?
Yeah, just they were wanted to hear stories of the battle.
Nothing else happened.
Quite the rousing tale.
Kitsette looks back and forth between the two of their faces.
Cassette, you can make an insight check.
19.
Eska, were you trying to hold something back?
No, nothing else happened. She was just saying it in a slightly teasing way.
You feel like you're maybe not getting the full story, Cassette,
Okay.
but it's
Do I feel like
hard
I
to
want to know the whole story?
well, that's up to you. So breakfast is tasty. You learn that the bread is actually a sort of it's made from mushroom flour. Badgerdown basically would be unsustainable without the vast mushroom farms to the east and the Rothe paddocks to the south. It provides, the vast majority of their sustenance and all of their clothing needs, and they have managed to be largely self-sufficient based on their farming endeavors. After everyone's sort of eaten their fill, the voyage says, "Shall we go meet the Conclave?"
Now, as far as we're aware, the Conclave is mostly gnomish.
You don't really know.
Okay.
You haven't really asked, and no one's really offered that information. So you are led along past the guardhouse, and sort of southwest direction. You see more of the buildings, sort of out of the carved stone that matches the walls and the floors and everything. Basically, everything's just built out of the same stuff. It's very sort of it's still a little confusing to the eye because you're not used to being somewhere so like everything's just one texture. So it's a little still sort of like unsettling. And you're led back close to Heswin's place. Eventually, you come through, and there's a marketplace that's already bustling. Despite the fairly early hour, it's probably about 9:30, give or take. Well, actually, you would know because you could see the clock on the way across. So it's about 9:30. And as you go through the market, Bador and Eska, you recognize Llewellyn, one of the Swift Neblins from last night, who's doing trade in the sort of the northern semicircle. It's basically so the market is set up as you come through. there's two sort of crescents, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, not crests, crescents of stalls set up essentially. So on the left side, it seems to be very based on materials, and then the right side is more final product essentially. So depending on what you're looking for, you go to the left for your raw materials, stuff for making with, and then if you actually want stuff that's already made, you go to the right. And Llewellyn is off on the right hand side there, on the north side. He sort of sees Voyage sweeping through, and then sees the five of you behind, and just sort of waves very enthusiastically and says, "Good morning. Will you be coming to see me later?" Sort of directed towards Bardor and Eska, obviously. The other three of you have no idea who this strange gnome is waving at you.
Esko waves back
Cassette
and
just
smiles.
goes, "Oh, nothing happened."
Esko waves back and says, "Yes, we'll try and get over."
He nods happily and goes back to talking to a customer he has with him. And as you sort of pass through the market area, you are led to this huge, mostly round building. It's almost like 1.5 stories. There's a couple of guards positioned out the front, but as they see Voyage approach, they kind of relax a little, and you are welcomed inside. And from the outside, it's really hard to tell what to expect, but on the inside, it's actually a lot of, there is an entry hall, and then there's corridors leading left, right, and then a big pair of double doors in front. Those who understand no mission Undercommon would see signs to the left. It's pointing to there's like offices for the chief artificer, the high alchemist, the prime engineer, and the esteemed artist. And then there's signs to the right that point to the Lord Rancher, the principal agriculturalist, and the first smith. And then there's another one that is just sort of vacant, basically. There's like a place for another sign, but there's no writing on it right now. The double doors in front, it's large again, stone doors, and carved across in common. Strangely, it just says the Conclave of Badgerdown, and Voyage says, "Right, if you wouldn't mind just waiting here for a moment, let me go see if they're ready for us." And there's another pair of guards inside with crossbows sort of strapped to their hips. And you can see they have goggles. They're not actually wearing the goggles right now, but the same goggles that you saw on the guards at the main gate, they sort of just have them resting on their foreheads. And Voyage pushes the door open, and you see it opens with ease again, much like the doors at the embassy, and slips inside. And eventually Voyage comes back out. So, right. Turns out someone managed to sneak in ahead of us, but they're ready for you now. And so she, leads over and opens the door, and you are beckoned to go inside. Who's leading the way?
I guess Silvarius.
Yeah, and I guess Cassette probably wouldn't be up front, but she may be like kind of standing behind him because just in case like gnomish is something she needs to translate.
Okay. So Silvarius, you go in, and you kind of get to see this first. The as expected, there's high ceilings in here. The floor is what strikes you first. Leading out from the doorway, there is a sort of exquisite mosaic floor that is in the shape of a tree. So the background is the same, it's the same stone that you've seen before, but it's just polished nicely, basically, like small tiles. in that same polished stone, and then colored stone for the tree. And it goes up and branches out into 8 major branches, and those then lead to 8 tables, 7 of which are currently occupied by a variety of gnomes. These tables are, again, it's the same stone that you've been seeing, but these are large, polished, sort of glistening tables, and the room is illuminated by a couple of drift globes up near the ceiling, putting out, unusually for here, putting out something close to daylight color. Typically, you sort of been used to seeing these sort of greens and purples. It's the first time, really, that you've seen proper sort of what you would consider normal light. You see in script you don't understand immediately. Each table has a plaque that's sort of placed on the front. Yeah, and so you have 7 gnomes behind these different tables. Voyage is sort of just standing at the point where the tree on the floor sort of starts to split into the different branches. That's where she's standing, and sort of encourages you to move into that area. You also see there a tall, lithe, purple-skinned drow with blonde, almost white dreadlocks and sort of well-worn leather armor, who's sort of standing pretty much next to Voyage, and seems to be smiling as you walk over.
Is that the drow that we saw coming in? Or wait. No, never mind. We didn't. I don't think we saw one. I think they just mentioned there was one.
Correct.
So
yeah, you haven't seen a drow. This is the first time you've seen one. I mean, you could probably logically deduce that could be the drow. You don't know how many there are, but certainly a drow. Behind the first table on the left, you see a familiar face, Heswin, wearing very similar garb to the night before. There's still an apron and gloves. They have a set of goggles on their head. Still somehow appears to be somewhat sooty. Next on the left is a wiry old gnome with a rather fabulous white mustache that curls up at the ends, and a sort of a pointed goatee. Hair's fairly short at the front, but then they have quite a lot of hair at the back of their head. Very, very much sort of business up front, but party in the back.
Very on trend right now.
And
Joe Dirt, the Musketeer.
they have a pair of glasses sort of resting on the table in front of them. Next over, you see a forest gnome, which is a little unexpected, although you know there are some here. She is wearing a sort of a purple dress, has long, flowing auburn hair. On the table in front of her is a flute that you think probably she just plays when they're waiting for the next people to come in, by the looks of it. And in front of her, you see the esteemed artist. Then next up, a female rock gnome with pale skin, very earthy tones, a staff resting up against the table, dark hair braided and pulled into a complex bun on top. Quite a severe face. The sign in front of her says "The Lord Rancher." Next up, you see what you assume to be another forest gnome. Again, fairer of skin, certainly than this first Nevlin. So, wearing greens, short blonde hair, cut close and sort of just swept over a little bit. And she's actually in conversation right now with the esteemed artist. The sign in front of her says the principal agriculturalist. So the final one is a male rock gnome. An apron not unlike Heswin's. You see he has thick gloves that are just placed on the side. Looking at it just briefly, the very scaly gloves that kind of glisten a little bit look like they're made of some sort of animal hide. There's you can see there's what looks like a hammer sort of hanging from the hip. You can kind of see, like, as they're sitting behind the table, you can kind of see the hammer sort of dangling down at their side, basically. And the sign there says the first smith. And then the final table does have a sign, but the seat is vacant. Marshal of the Guard. And so you're sort of trying to take all this in. I know that's a lot of information. Heswin stands and says, "Welcome, friends. We are pleased for you to join us. I am Heswin, as you know. This is Loston, Alkas, Poland, Sahana, Aluxis, and Zorik. We 7 make up the Conclave of Badgerdown." And Poland sort of gives a nod and says, "Perhaps it is better if I do the speaking. I am a little more comfortable in the common tongue, as I don't live underground so long as these folks do. And most of them were born underground. Some of them have not even seen the sky before. Voyage tells me you are the people for whom we can thank for dealing with the orcs, correct?"
Aye, that we are.
Please understand, this is for us an immense burden lifted. We have been suffering for some time now with raids, but recently, as you have apparently discovered, they took over a portion of the road such that no travel could take place unchecked. Sometimes they settled for a toll. Other times they did not, let's say. Unfortunately, we lost some of our guards trying to deal with them. It is a great relief to us that you have been able to help. What do we call you?
Cassette will step forward and say, "We are the Hand of Aegis.
She sort of,
We're happy to help."
"This is a good name. I like it."
It
Strange.
took us a while. We workshopped for a while, but yeah.
It is a good, proud name. I will be honest with you. We tried to work with the Red Fangs of Rolivar, but the scoundrel never found his way down here. We appreciate you, and we will remember these things you have done for us, and should we find ourselves imperiled again, yours will be the names we call for in the future.
Well, we appreciate your trust. But we haven't known Rolliver long enough to speak to his character, but he is the one who contracted us to come down here, so perhaps he deserves some credit. I don't just want that to be known.
Perhaps I was a little quick, but I don't know. He seems, well, you've met him, so you probably have a fair idea how to feel about him.
Yeah, I think we got the same vibe.
So it is only fitting that we reward you. I assume, based on the fact that they were taking tolls, they probably were amassing some sort of wealth there. it would be very difficult for us to ascertain to whom this wealth belongs properly. There were merchants coming from many cities here and from us out to them, so I suppose it is reasonable for you to consider whatever you gained there as some of your reward. We obviously are, not me personally, but the town of Badgerdown is an industrious place where you can find well-crafted items. So we would there's something that we had been discussing that we thought might be of use for some of you, and she sort of, her eyes linger on Silveris and Cosette when she says that. Unfortunately, we had to send someone to go get it, so they'll be here soon. Also, perhaps what we can do once we have finished talking is go to the marketplace. Maybe there's something that is already out there that may be useful to you. We have raw materials from all sorts. We have gems that we mine, veins here for most materials you can think of with the systems of mines that we've created. So maybe there's something in that style that would be useful, or perhaps something else that has been constructed that would be suitable. But we want you to know that what you did was appreciated. We while we are able to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves, we would eventually grind to a halt without being able to have the import and export. So it is a big favor that you have done for us, and you need to be rewarded. Oh, and she just sort of stops for a second. Forgive me. This is Tebrin, and she sort of gestures to the drow. He has been sort of consulting, I suppose, would be the best term. He is a fighter of some renown himself, and has traveled underground for some time, and has been helping our guards in the absence of a marshal. As you see, we have no marshal currently. And the drow sort of waves and says, "Oh, hi there. Yeah, I'm Tebrin Denith. Pleasure to make your acquaintances. You so you seem like you're pretty good fighters. I don't know. Maybe once you're done with the market, you can come over to the guardhouse and help me with the guards a little bit."
I think that would be doable, depending on what type of help you need.
Well, they just had to draft into some new guards after the old ones. Well, you know what happened. So yeah, they're just trying to get them up to speed, really. They're all wet behind the ear. Some of these gnomes are only sort of 40 years old. Still kind of young and a bit clueless, to be honest. So they need some breaking in, basically, and it's a lot for just me. I'm trying, obviously, and I appreciate the opportunity. And he sort of nods over to the conclave in general. But yeah, if you don't mind, I mean, even just a couple of hours could help. You seem to be quite a diverse bunch. That I only know what I know, so having some extra knowledge would be great.
Cassette kind of looks back at the group, like making sure she's not promising something that they're not okay with.
I mean, Bardoor looks like I look right now. Arms crossed with a scowl upon his face, not saying anything. But
Yellow hoodie.
Now, are you scowling like right at him?
Oh yeah.
Okay. He notices. It says, So, yeah, look, about the drow thing. Let's talk about the purple elephant in the room here. So, I understand that drow aren't exactly everyone's favorite elf. But look, that's. I'm not like them, I suppose you could say. They are, they're sort of devoted to Lolth, the bad drow. I guess I consider myself a good drow. Um, I don't worship Lolth. I worship the Seldarin pantheon, just like, and he sort of gestures towards Eska and says, "Well, I'm guessing you probably do, right?"
Yeah.
So, wow, Eska sounded really far away.
From across the room.
Hello, I'm trapped in here.
We accidentally shut the doors right in Eska's face.
Yeah, basically.
I'm still outside.
So yeah, they're a drow like me that are trying to, you know, basically show the Lothsworn drow the error of their ways. I'm going to tell you, it sucks. They're really quite devoted. And there's not many like me. But we're trying. We'll keep going, and we work with everyone else basically to try and help set them straight. I understand, and he sort of puts a hand out towards Bardor. I understand the look and why you might be hesitant. I'd like to think that my character has been proven. Says, yes, we would vouch for Teprin's character. He has proven himself to be useful. Helped bring back one of the guards who was wounded by the orcs. Yeah, no, he's good people. So yeah, just I mean, you don't have to commit right now. Once we're done here, I'll be back over at the guardhouse trying to run them through some drills. So yeah, if you have time, great. If you don't, I understand. And in fact, I actually should be going. It was nice meeting you, Hand of Aegis, Conclave, and just sort of bows and heads towards the door. Right, sorry about that. I should have introduced you sooner. It's been a bit of a whirlwind here as we try to send messages out to let people know that the route is, well, relatively safe again. I understand the orcs were not the only thing you encountered. Is there anything that you wish to ask of us?
Well, we do have a small problem that any help you could give us would be appreciated. We have unfortunately caught the attention of a powerful creature. She kind of looks back like, should she be sharing all this with these strangers? But unless anybody stops her, they have the ability to kind of peek in at us from time to time. And we were told that it might take some powerful magic to stop that. But if you guys know of anything that may help us in that matter, we'd appreciate it.
They sort of all turn to Loston, the alchemist, and Alcus, the engineer. They sort of look at them, and Loston sort of just idly playing with his mustache. It could be done with some sort of non-detection. Such things are possible. You are dealing with scrying, I suppose, if someone is looking in on you. So some sort of anti-divination could work. And he looks to Alcus. We could work on something like this. Someone may already have something like this. You would all need one, though. Otherwise, if they know all of you, then if one of you is protected, the others, they could just check on someone else, you know? 5 items is it's a lot, but it's possible. Maybe a bracelet, something like that could work. We have hundreds of, jewelry items that could be potentially imbued with such power. It's just takes time. What type of creature is this?
It is a illithid.
You see, the deep gnomes have a sort of visible reaction when you say that. The rock gnomes and forest gnomes not so much. I see. That is a problem for you. And he sort of looks up, looks to Loston, and Loston starts casting a spell real quick. You just sort of see him looking around the room. Well, we're not being watched right now, so perhaps they don't know you're here. This is good for everybody, I think. Okay, so
How were you able to tell that we're not being watched now?
So the art of scrying is scrying requires a point through which you can see your intended target. You look through this like a point in space, and you can see. You can even move this point around. It is invisible, but if you know how to see invisibility, then you can see this focus moving around. I am skilled enough in the arcane art to know how to do this spell. And so I was able to look, and I see no little... it's almost like a glass ball floating around. And no glass ball, nobody's crying. Unfortunately, there are creatures in the Underdark who also like to be invisible. So it is a skill that we learn early for those who practice the arcane. That this is something that is very necessary to be able to survive out here. But yes, if you can learn to see invisibility, then you can also look to see if you are being scryed on. That's another option. Perhaps at least until you're able to protect all of you with this non-detection.
That may be a better option for us. At least that way we can tell.
Yeah, I mean, don't rule out the possibility of us being able to work together these items for you, but it won't be tomorrow. Let's put it like that. These are powerful magics that take time to work into items. But it's something we can work towards for you. And he sort of looks towards the rest of the council, the conclave, excuse me, and sort of note their agreement. And they say, if this is something that you would like, then we would be willing to do this as a sign of thanks. We can start working on these, and perhaps, you can come down and collect them sometime.
That would be we would be very grateful for that. If you are able to do it, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what would be necessary. It's probably diamonds, isn't it? And they just look at you. It's like, it's always diamonds. I don't know why. Magic is fickle this way, Thankfully, we do have access to some diamonds, so we can work on this. Gestures back over to Poland, who says, well, I think that perhaps we have figured out how to repay you. If you are on board with this as a means of repayment. That's not to say we do have the other item too. And as she says that, there's a little knock on the door. And one of the guards comes in holding a small package. And is sort of like looks nervous, but it's gestured over by Poland. Poland sort of takes the package and mutters something in Undercommon. Bardor, you understand, it's just, thanks, basically. She unwraps the bundle, and it's a set of goggles. Not too dissimilar to the goggles you saw on the guards. And she says, so, we make these for our guards, but well, since we had to recently replace a lot of them, unfortunately, we just have this one pair spare right now. She sort of holds them up, and in the light, you can see one of the lenses is sort of greenish, the other one is sort of purplish, and they sort of wrap around. Basically, there's like solid metal that sort of wraps around the side of the face, so it kind of like gives you tunnel vision essentially, or it looks like it would. You're obviously not wearing them right now, but she says so. These serve a couple of functions. For those who are not able to see in the dark, they would enable you to do that, as well as a regular gnome or elf, what have you. But they also allow you to see through the haze that is part of a side effect of all of the work that we do here. We have this sort of weird greenish purplish haze that fills the area and the corridors, tunnels that lead away from the town. And the way these lenses are crafted, they enable you to see through that mist and fog as if it was not there. And again, she kind of looks at Silverius and said here. So these are available to you to use. I think they would be beneficial for you, especially as you travel underground here. It is difficult, I know, to see for your kind. Meaning no offense, of course.
She'll step up and get him and be like, cool, and she'll like try them on, or like try one eye and then close one eye and see how they. I mean, I know it's well lit in here, but she's still gonna try them on.
So you put them on, and in this sort of normal light, everything looks kind of weird because the lenses are actually making everything look green and purple now. It's almost like you're back outside again.
Okay, gotcha.
But the other thing you notice as you wear them is that you definitely feel like you have really big blind spots now. But mechanically, just to confirm, these do not require attunement. They are goggles of night, with the small downside of reducing your passive perception by 1 while worn, to reflect the fact that you lose that peripheral vision.
Cool.
But you look pretty dope while you wear them, so there is that.
They I was picturing them as like those cosplay goggles that you see at like cons and stuff.
It's very steampunk, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
I mean, it's it's brass work. I mean, they look really cool. But yes, the small downside, but big upside.
Does this mean Cosette and Silverius are going to have to arm wrestle to see who gets to wear the goggles?
Yeah, she's gonna pass him over to Silverius, knowing that he's the only other one that they can't see in the dark, just to try him on.
He takes them and curious as to the effect, tries to apply them to his big dragony head.
Yeah, you have to stretch out the so that there's a actually realistically it's probably a buckle. So you have to kind of adjust the strap because there's no way it's going over your head right now.
She sees him trying to just go ahead and put it on. She's like worried he's gonna break it, so like grabs it out of the strap for him, hands it back to him after it's extended about as far as it can go.
Yeah, it does fit him. They, you sense that maybe this one was even crafted with slightly bigger people in mind than gnomes. There's certainly I mean, you are basically at the full extent of the strap, but yes, they do go over your head, and you get the same weird green purple vibes going on, as you underneath the sort of normal, almost daylight.
He just kind of like looks around a little bit, and he's
Certainly far better than more.
Eli can't think of the word.
More better.
More better, yeah.
More better, better.
Can I, Rich, if you could, can I just get that snippet of audio?
Yeah, maybe.
I could find a lot of good uses for that. If you could just snip that
Ringtone?
one timestamp name. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Carry on.
So Poland says, "Well, figure out between you. I wish you had more available, but unfortunately, we need to save them for the guards. You understand? We're still trying to recruit more. It is hard convincing some of these gnomes that they should put down their hammers and pick up spears. But we'll figure it out. For now, the threat has been abated, and that is because of you. So we thank you. If you have no more questions for us, I would suggest you head out to the market. There's a lot available there, a dizzying amount, quite possibly. But just understand that you will always be welcome here in Badgerdown. We have scribes who keep track of the history of the town. For the last few weeks, their jobs have been quite sad. Keeping remembrances of those we lost, and so forth. It will be good for them to have something good to write about now. We will get you to, write out your full names and so on, for them to properly keep the record. But yes, at least for now, Hand of Aegis will do. You are going into our history books as people who have helped out this very it is a community here. We work together. We are like-minded, and we're not fighters, not really. Even the guards are barely fighters. We like hitting things, but we're not fighters. So yeah, please enjoy the market. Stay as long as you wish. We will make sure that anytime you come to town, if we need to, we'll kick people out of the guest house. You will always have a room there.
Well, we appreciate your hospitality, and appreciate the finding another place, another friendly place for us in this crazy world. So appreciate the rewards that you've given us, but also hopefully a ongoing friendship.
Yeah, no, you are, like I said, we'll make sure that whatever happens here, the people who live here know about you. Yeah, does a sort of gesture to indicate that you're welcome to leave now, and sits down, as politely as she can.
In a nice way.
Yeah. And you see the door is opened behind you. Already shuffling in are a couple of Swerfneblins who you can see, like, one of them's got a big black eye. The other one has an arm in a sling. Excuse me, just whack the microphone. And they're sort of ushered in and then immediately sort of separate to go either side of your group. As they move towards, like, the that point where the tree separates. I bet there's a word for that. Like, for the bit where a tree goes.
Branches out.
There's got to be a bit for, like, that part of a tree. Anyway, they start moving towards there. The guard who opened the door just sort of looks at you and sort of, like, holds the door open and deliberately tries to step out of the way a little bit more.
So we make our way to the market, I think is where we wanted to go.
Yeah, which is easy to do because as soon as you get out the
It's
door,
right on. Yeah.
it's right there. So you head out of the door, and once again, you kind of forgotten how loud it was as you go outside that the main door. You hear the thunking again. The music portion isn't quite as loud in this area. Like, it's you can actually hear a couple of hammers, like individual hammers that are hitting in time down in this corner. But you can still feel that vibration constantly too. And yeah, you as you come out of the door, what you also hear is the barkers in the marketplace calling you over. And that's where we'll pick up next time, with you ready to investigate the market of Badgerdown.
Oh man,
Shopping
we're walking.
montage.
Man,
We actually
yeah,
this time. I was so stoked to shop, Phil.
yeah, we are walking right into an entire shopping episode.
We will pick up next time for more adventures underneath the stone sky of Badgerdown. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time for more Fables from the Pickled Quipper. Goodbye.